Paul, can you hear us at home?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
People don't want to show their faces.
Who's the seal of Burlington there? Monty?
John Denizio, and then the second, yeah, John Denizio,
Okay.
Mike Burton, David, Dennis.
I think you have all of Doran Whittier here more than us.
That's the beauty of a hybrid meeting.
I know, isn't that crazy? You can just dial in.
No fear of missing out.
Paul Sagan, John Denizio, George Pavianis, Dennis Milano, David
Wow.
Rosenblatt,
Yeah.
Chris Monaco, Audrey Boeri.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is Dr. Conte and Nicole coming? Do we know?
They both said yes.
Okay.
This list.
I'm gonna give them 1 more minute.
Oh, you don't know how to do that?
No, it says
Yeah, there you
participant.
go. It shows.
Yeah, and participants just doesn't.
Yeah, if you keep that up, that's better because then I can see the hands.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, they're just staring at them. They're staring at us.
We appear like two
Right,
rabbits.
yeah.
Something better than when we.
They're closer to their screen.
Building committee and PB.
That's true.
We've never once seen them.
This is actually easier because when I sit over there for school committee meetings and the pictures are a lot smaller.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I don't.
Yeah, I usually,
Nobody turns their video on
I
for the
know.
real
Right.
committee meeting.
Uh-huh.
I usually
Except
enlarge
for
it
the
a little
school
bit.
committee members, right? Yeah.
Good. Well,
We're all
Yeah,
here.
I don't
yeah,
have everything.
You don't see everybody, but then when everybody pops,
Oh.
They come up.
then
Probably
they're-
could see 'em.
yeah, and then with the hands on the side.
Mhm.
This is team, not teams,
What?
This is
WebEx.
WebEx.
That's so crazy.
Teamwear has a cute layout that looks like a tiered,
I just
Fun
found
part.
that today. It's really fun.
All right.
Oh.
If you let me know if they join. Oh, Nicole, there's Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole's there.
Okay. Eric's probably
Tara
driving.
Carroll
Tara.
joined.
Aiden, I assume, joined.
Aiden is on. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Fox Hill School Building Committee meeting. We have a lot of guests here today. The folks from Denizio. Denisco, sorry.
That's okay.
I think I said that.
Nabisco Denisco. I don't, let me help you. Disco Denisco.
Uh, Are you gonna put the agenda up there?
If you would like me to. Then I have to download that.
Okay,
site.
never mind. That's fine. I'll look over on Christina's.
Yeah.
Yep, all right. So we're gonna, approve the minutes first. Okay. We don't have any outstanding shots.
No, yeah, Aiden sent out the previous meeting minutes and they were
Hurdles for TV.
sent directly to the full committee and then also uploaded to the FTP link. So everyone should have had a chance to take a look at them.
Any, we have a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second.
Martha. Any discussion? All right, I will do roll call here. Ms. Monaco,
Aye.
Ms. Simon,
Aye.
Ms. Foss,
Aye.
Ms. Kasha,
Aye.
Eric's on there. Dr. Conti,
Aye.
Mr. Sagarino,
Aye.
Mr. Denizio,
Yes.
Sir Rosenblatt,
Aye.
Mr. Milano,
Aye.
Ms. Priest,
Aye.
Mr. Cuna,
Aye.
I'm an aye. 1200.
Violated the district's acceptable use of technology policy.
We didn't
O'Shea
get
also
tabs on
said
it.
this was an isolated incident and the safety of
Hit the home
students
button.
or staff will not be impacted. We're still waiting to learn details like
There's
if
nothing
that
open.
employee
Is
was
it-
in fact fired
Bob, is it
and
yours?
how the district
Help me,
found
help
out. We reached out to the school district for further information.
Oh, okay, no, it is.
Electronics.
There's something running when
Oh,
it's
I
not
got it,
visible.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
it's okay. All right, minutes approved.
Awesome. All right, our next agenda topic is the designer introduction. And so this evening we have the Danisco team with us. We have Donna, Vivian, and Neil with us tonight. They're going to go through their presentation with you as far as like kind of brief introduction of the team itself. As you know, we met with the MSBA DSP 2 different times on January 17th and January 31st. And Danisco was the preferred architect selected for our project. I'm going to turn it over to Donna now. She
Sure,
can go
yeah.
through the presentation with you all.
With the assistance of Bob.
Bob.
So, thank you, Bob. Bob's gonna be our eyes and ears. But anyway, we are just really excited to be here, and we know it's a huge milestone for you all, and we are really looking forward to making this project really special for you all. We know you have some decisions to make as you look at both enrollments, the merger of 2 schools. But what we're here, we're going to show you tonight kind of our process, who we are. We've worked all around you. You might even probably recognize some of the work that we've done. So no 2 schools are alike, though. No 2 projects are alike. So we're really want to get into how we're going to work with you, our process. And then Vivian has a little kind of video, kind of a little tease of our, it's really the tools that we use to get everyone excited. Anyway, so with that, all right, Bob, that was a long-winded introduction. So what we do is really, this is primarily the presentation that we made at the MSBA. It's really hard to believe it was only a week ago. But what we did in listening to what Burlington was saying was we started structuring our presentation to talk about the past, which is Danisco's experience and expertise that we'll be bringing to the project. The present is really our approach to your project. We understand it's complicated, that we understand in order to be successful, we really need to start with being good listeners and grounded in communication and have the empathy, because we know this is a really hard decision for you all to make. And then we're really excited to look to the future, which is going to be this reimagined Fox Hill School. So with Vivian sharing our process, hopefully will help you understand we have the expertise to get you to the future. And again, as I mentioned, you can just go next slide. We have a lot of experience. Danisco's been around for over 40 years, and we've been designing schools for over 40 years. Most recently, our MSBA school experience. This is an example of our new elementary schools with MSBA. We, again, have worked in many neighboring towns, Lexington, Woburn, we have North Andover, Peabody. We have, so we really have worked in many communities, all with different needs, and you can see the different outcomes. And then we also, if you want to go to the next slide, Bob, we're going to have to look at renovation addition options. It doesn't work for all school projects, and we're not sure that it really is the right fit for Fox Hill, but we will go through the process. But we do want to say that in the instances where it has made sense, they really can work. And we're really proud of our renovation and addition options or projects. And then the other kind of added layer of complexity is recognizing that we are looking at 2 design enrollments, right? One for 325 and one for 640. And then you have a possibility of consolidations. And we've worked with many communities navigating these complex discussions. And it's interesting, they all kind of arrive at different solutions. So again, you're unique, Fox Hill is unique, and we're really excited just to use our experience to get you to where you want to be. So you can see that we believe our experience perfectly aligns with your project, right? We've done a little bit of homework. Fox Hill and Pine Glen are about a mile apart from each other. So it really is a good opportunity for consolidation, but we understand it's not an easy decision. And we're just going to work with you to make the right solution or decision for you. We're just going to share a few case studies just to kind of, you can start seeing how we think through and work with our clients. The Amesbury Elementary School was opportunity to consolidate 2 schools. Go ahead, sorry, we're gonna have to get our eye contact bank here. It was opportunity to consolidate 2 schools. There was multiple design enrollments, but for the small city of Amesbury, they also had an opportunity, and the end solution was to reorganize their grade structure, because they had a small community and they really wanted to make sure that this solution, this one single solution, provided equity for all of the students. And it really had a great impact to the community. I don't think we have to go to that level here. You have other elementary schools, so that won't be really part of the process, but here's 6 schemes that we looked at, and no joke, must have been 20 in total. So we're going to take the time that you need to really vet all of these decisions. And then if we go to the next, a big part of the Amesbury project was communication and transparency. It really impacted everyone, and it was really important that we reached out to everyone. So we did this through social media. Amesbury had a huge presence on social media, but we also had community forums. We were on cable TV, right? We did TV shows because people still watch the local cable TV. And we even had online surveys so that we could reach out to as many people as possible just to understand what was important to them. And then we also, as you can imagine, looked at many, many, many different options. You too have 2 enrollments that we'll look at. We will probably at least consider the Pine Glen School site. And if that, did I say that right? Pine Glen, yeah. If it gets dismissed early on, it gets dismissed early on, but we'll definitely be looking at both sites. We'll be looking at both enrollments, renovation and addition, and new school options. And if there are other sites that are available in town, we're excited to talk about it, but it's rare, right? And then in the end, for Amesbury, we're showing this really because this was an extremely emotional and complex project for the city of Amesbury that really required us to have exceptional community outreach and build consensus throughout the process. And we actually had a lot of fun getting to know everyone. So we will be seeing each other off and become fast friends. And then the Earl Wyman School, which is in Woburn, many of you may know of it. This too was a consolidation of 2 smaller schools. And what was important for Woburn was that with the consolidation that we maintain the small school feel, but that we were also able to provide flexibility for future generations of students, because we know the pedagogy may shift. How can we make this as flexible as possible for future generations, unlike the triangular open classroom and everything else that we have? Yeah, we say our predecessors were thinking of us and keeping architects in business with the 1960s and 70s designs. But so in the end, for Woburn, what was really important to them was that this building represented their civic pride, that it was cost effective, it was durable, and that it was flexible. And we're actually really proud of the Earl Wyman School. It has received national recognition, and it's an MSBA model school. So, and Neil will talk about another example.
In the next slide. So I had the good fortune to be the project manager on the DeBerry Swan School in Springfield. It's the consolidation of two small, undersized elementary schools in Springfield. And they're actually pretty close to each other, similar to your project. They're about a mile apart. And they're actually in very different neighborhoods in Springfield. So had a lot of public outreach to make sure we kind of had the right solution for the project. And what we heard from the communities, they really wanted to maintain the identities of each school. So we have essentially two different schools with a combined community wing in the middle for this solution. So if you get the next page, so in the study phase, we looked at obviously the two sites of the school, but also a third site that Springfield had, which was kind of in between the two schools. We also looked at multiple enrollments, whether it was a smaller single school or a bit larger, or a combination of the two schools. We also looked at additions and renovations to the existing buildings. One of the buildings is actually from the 1890s, so it's kind of difficult to build onto. So at the end of the day, the school and the city decided what made the most sense was to do a combined school on the DeBerry Parkland site, which is right next to the existing DeBerry school. So the school is being built right now adjacent to the DeBerry school, almost complete. So this school had a lot of parallels with your project, aside from just consolidation and multiple design enrollments. There was a lot of community outreach that was important, and the educational program really drove this design. So if you look at the plans, what their program was made the most sense to build it this way.
So recognizing that designing and creating a high performance school is also really important to Burlington, as it is to everyone right now. We have that experience. We have a great team that we're working with. Thornton Tomasetti is our sustainable consultant or engineer for the project, and they'll help us navigate all of the solutions with you. Here's just an example. This is the Hastings Elementary School in Lexington that is recently completed. It is a net zero energy school. They have ground source heat pumps on site, and they actually have the energy on site utilizing rooftop PVs and solar canopies. So this is a true net zero energy school. And then as we start looking at this, and we'll talk about integrated design process, but we start at the very beginning of all of our projects. We'll look at the educational, we'll talk about the building design, and then we'll talk about the sustainable features of it at the very beginning. We know to have an energy use index of 28 or less is really what we need to achieve in order for this to be a net zero ready. So meaning everything will be in place and you bring in the solar afterwards and you just connect them, or we can work with you if you choose to purchase PVs and bring them on site, which more and more communities are doing. But we recognize that our goal is not goal, but we need to be at 28 or less as we move through the process. And again, some of our recent success stories that we'll draw upon, the Cabot School in Newton was a renovation addition, and it was a net zero ready. The PVs came afterwards. The Hastings School is tracking a 23.8. And then the LCP in Lexington, which is their early childhood program, actually is energy positive. They have a very large parking lot, so they were able to generate more energy than the building needs. But these are just a few of our success stories. So we're really wanting to hear what is motivating you, what your goals are, and then we'll utilize our experience with Thornton Tomasetti. We know that some decisions may come with an upfront cost, recognizing that it's not always an easy decision, but there are a lot of incentives, rebates, tax credits even right now. We're working in a community where it's ground source heat pumps And Mass Save just came out with this unbelievable rebate, which is pretty much going to have them, I think it's going to cost them maybe $200,000 more than going VRF for an all-electric building. So then if you add in the tax credits and the PV incentives, like it really starts to make sense. So we will absolutely work with you to understand what your goals are. And then obviously you'll see that you don't just look at the first cost, you look at all of the operational costs of the savings that you'll have year over year over year. And this is just an example of that community I was talking about. They'll save like $250,000 annually on just operating costs, which is huge. So we also want to look, as we look at high performance schools, beyond just the energy, that it's funny, we say, you know, people are going to see the colors and the furniture when they walk in the building. They're going to forget about all of the hard work and decisions we made because those go inside the walls. But, you know, they will not lose sight, no pun intended, of daylighting and views. And that is really important with a lot of the first decisions that we make. We understand that daylighting and views provides better sleep quality, improves test scores, and overall better performance of the students. And that is a passion of ours. So you'll start to see as we start siting the building what makes the most sense and making sure that we don't have glare. We have enough daylight, but glare won't impact, and they don't pull the shades down, and then therefore you lose your daylighting and views. And as I was saying, you know, it's really important from an integrated design approach that we want to be making all of these decisions or discussions early on in the process. That goes from siting the building to what types of mechanical equipment used, what, you know, are you going to go for an all-electric building? All of these decisions will be in tandem with making decisions or understanding your educational program and other priorities for the project. We always say that if they don't run concurrent, it's a little late way down the road to recite the way your building is going to be laid out, right? So we want to get the right orientation of the building and everything. So we'll be having these conversations early. You guys are going to be sick of us, I promise you. We will be having these conversations early and often. And then, you know, we get as deep early on in understanding what your equipment requirements are or needs are. So it's not just your mechanical equipment. We want to understand what your BMS is, or building-wide integration. Is it going to be run locally at the school? Do you have a main office that facilitates this here? And so understanding what your level of sophistication is and skill set is for, so that is it going to be someone in the school, a custodian who's going to be running the equipment on a day-to-day basis? And if so, you know, what is their skill set? Or is it going to be operated in many communities? They have, you know, a facilities person behind the scenes that kind of operates it remotely. So we'll be having those conversations with you as well. And then, you know, just kind of walking through some options. If it's an all-electric building, right now we're looking at either air source heat pumps or the VRF system versus ground source heat pumps, which is what others also refer to as a geothermal. And, you know, they both can achieve an all-electric building. The question really just becomes, what are your priorities? I think with the incentives and rebates, if you have the site that can support, you know, ground source heat pump, that becomes a little more favorable because of the lesser upfront cost thanks to the rebates and incentives. But we just want to make sure that, you know, we have the experience. We're going to want to listen to you before we even really start with the discussions.
Lessons learned, I guess. We've learned, I guess, over the years, a few things. But one of them is that we really need to listen to the town, what they want with controls and with the systems that are selected. So we like to work hand in hand with you guys early on to select the systems, make sure we have the right controls for BMS, but also for like lighting controls and how everything works together. And to this, and we also provide some training videos at the end of the project. So in future staff can use the videos to kind of get up to speed on whatever systems we do select for the project. Next slide. As a project manager, your schedule, your budget, and your goals are the top of my mind. That's really what we're about. We have a very experienced team at Danisco of senior people. They'll be on the project. We also have a very long-term relationships with our consultants, and we'll be using those to put the project together. And as a project manager, I'll be working hard to make sure we maintain our schedules, but while still focusing on the big picture. Go to the next slide. As a project manager, I'm very transparent. I think communication is really important with the whole team, and we'll kind of use that to make a successful project. This slide really talks about how complete our documents are historically. If you look at our last 9 projects, the number you really want to look at is the one in the lower right-hand corner. You'll see our change orders have been under 1% on average, which is well below the industry standard. And we think of the budget as a design tool. We don't really design the building and then VE it back to what it really should cost. So we care a lot about the costs up front. The next slide. And as the project manager, I'll be on the project right now until you move in and the project's all closed out. So there'll be no transition to a CA team or anything like that. And likewise, our consultants will also have senior people that will go through the whole project. And because we have such good relationships with our consultants, we're able to address issues as they arise and also kind of look at things that might happen. You know, in today's environment, there's been a lot of issues with lead times on products. And so we're going to keep an eye on that. And if things happen like switchgear or emergency generators have crazy lead times, we'll work with you to kind of maybe figure out which ones we want to identify and maybe even pre-order them before the project goes out to bid, because we've seen some really crazy times right now. And we have a lot of experience with both design, bid, build, and also construction manager at risk. As Donna said, we've got 40 years of experience. We predate the 149. And so we have a really experienced team. We think there's no substitute for that. And I think it'll be a very successful project. Next slide.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, no,
I'm not
I know
used to
he's looking
this.
at you. I don't think he's that intent.
Trying to read your mind.
Yeah. So, you know, now what we want to do is just kind of talk about where we are and how we work with you and kind of kickstarting the project. And again, you know, recognizing that it's really important that we're good listeners, and our process and approach is grounded in great communication. And we really understand and have the empathy with the decisions that you all are faced with. And with that, you know, it comes with the value of listening. And we understand that. We will, you know, work with you collaboratively, but we also want to make sure that we reach out to as many community members and the community at large to make sure we understand what's important to everyone, and that will lead to the success of the project. But, you know, listening will really start with understanding your educational goals. So we all school committee members sitting at the table? Not everyone. Okay, I know there's a
Yeah.
few of you.
Yeah, we should have introduced
We have 3
ourselves too.
here and one on. is
One on.
Catherine online? I don't know.
Christine is online.
Okay, so, you know, we understand that this is a school, and so understanding that your educational goals and priorities really is going to drive the whole process. So we'll be wanting to kickstart this with a visioning session and visioning process so that we can understand what your goals and priorities are and reach out to the community at large to understand what their vision is for the new Fox Hill School. And then, you know, we've done a little bit of research, and we understand that your school improvement plan identifies, you know, the need or that you'd like to foster a culture of equity and engagement and excellence for all of your students. And we understand that every student learns differently. And we We love getting to know every community. Every community is different, and every school within every community has a uniqueness to it. So we're really excited to understand what is important to the students of the Fox Hill School. And then social emotional learning. This too is at the forefront of all of our minds after the past few years, and we really recognize how important social emotional learning is for students. It's really important to create a sense of belonging for all students, and a lot of times that's done through having students feel that they're known throughout the school and known well by a lot of teachers and staff, like they just feel comfortable and safe and secure in those environments. So our goal will be to design a school that will foster a small school feel, regardless if it's 325 or 640. So these students and the younger ones really feel safe and secure in their environment. And then we'll also look at differentiated learning environments. We try to carve out nooks and crannies and flexibility throughout the entire school to provide learning environments wherever students are, whether that's project-based learning through Media Center or art or the STEM spaces or small group learning pullouts. And again, just embracing the school as one big learning environment. And what that will do is start helping us define how the building takes shape and maximize. Our goal is to identify the right spatial relationships and adjacencies of the programs so that we can maximize time on learning for the kids. You have a very large, single, sprawling building, so it, the transition times can take quite a while to get from one class to another. So our goal is to make sure that we locate or co-locate the classrooms with all of the programs required for every student to succeed, which then takes us to the outdoors. And we're really excited about the opportunities the Fox Hill School site has. It's beautiful, and the learning doesn't end on the indoors. And working with our landscape architect, who's equally passionate about this, we're really going to have a lot of fun coming up with some outdoor opportunities. And we were talking right before, and some of you may have kids that might still be at the Fox Hill School before the building is complete. And it's all about the kids. So we love to engage them even during design to get their ideas. There won't be a swimming pool or sometimes they want water slides going down. But they really, it's hearing from, the mouths of babes, and it gets you to start rethinking things a little bit. So we do engage them during the design. And then if we are fortunate to have a new school built on the same site, which we do frequently, they love to get involved in construction. So we find that the project itself is a great learning opportunity. And now Vivian will just share our excitement with you.
Definitely. So we are so pleased to be starting this really great project with you. So excited, as Donna said. We understand that Fox Hill is a neighborhood school, and everyone kind of has a different ideal of what neighborhood means. But as we embark on this design journey with you, we're going to be looking at how to create a sense of place for Fox Hill, how to create a sense of belonging, as Donna had mentioned, for the children there, and really see how we could create a space that fosters a sense of community, even maybe a campus that fosters that. As Donna had mentioned, we are going to be looking at a repairs only project, addition renovation, as well as new construction. This is all part of the MSBA process. But for tonight, we're going to be looking at potentially how a reimagined Fox Hill might look as a new school on the site. You guys have a beautiful site. I went for a walk with my husband a couple of weeks ago, took all the trails because I really wanted to see what was at the end of the trails. Got totally lost in Wilmington when we took the didn't take the right turn and bushwhacked our way back to the parking lot. It was really not so fun for me, but it was really great. We want to take advantage of this wonderful natural resource and somehow bring it in and together so the children can also take advantage of it.
Did you find the abandoned car?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And a
And a couch
Oh.
and a pie. So anyway, it was, I was a little nervous when I couldn't find my way back
Yeah.
and at least we saw the houses,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, okay, can't go wrong.
It's not that big.
No, but I was a little nervous.
Yep.
So in any case, real preliminary review of the site, the wonderful nature trails, the woodlands, the wetland is even a wonderful resource. We want to take advantage of this and see how we can tie everything back together. Next. The school sits squarely in the center of the site right now, surrounded by this beauty. Entered on the site by the two converging roads, right? And then a short driveway to the school. Really is not a great sense of entry. The school doesn't really have a great presence on the site, and mostly because, you know, it's a single story, and I found that it was a little difficult to find the entrance. You kind of had to go around and look for it. So we're going to be looking at creating a better sense of entrance, kind of a sequence that makes sense. And also look at how we can do some. I really hate listening to myself.
Is it gone now?
Is it
Yeah,
gone? Is she
all
gone?
gone.
Okay, good. We're going to be looking at how to develop the site as a whole and look at that entry sequence together. So we took a look at what two potential new construction projects might look like on the site. Concept A seems to make a lot of sense. This is building a new school. That's the white kind of curved shape on the left. Builds a new school where the existing parking lot is just to the north of it. This really provides a good opportunity to separate construction activities from the existing school if we want to remain in the existing school during construction. Also provides a good opportunity to relook at the queuing, the bus drop off, all of that fun stuff, and then provides all this great space once the existing school is demolished. Site concept B takes a new building and builds it on the other side of the site, on the back side of the existing school. Similarly creates an amazing amount of open space in the center of the site. But better, what this does better is that it provides kind of more of a length of driveway that we can really take advantage. We can take advantage of it for queuing, for just creating that sense of arrival. So as you're driving, if you can imagine driving along this driveway around the trees, you can kind of see the building and different viewpoints, and really gives this school a great presence on the site with a beautiful backdrop. So if we take site concept B a little further and look at all of these components, right? So passive recreation, wonderful woodland parcels on either side. We want to look at how to connect the two. It's a really great opportunity to be able to walk from one of the nature trails to the other rather than walking from one nature trail through the parking lot. So that's an opportunity that we think might enhance the use of this parcel. We also want to look at how to bring that also closer to the school so that we could look at outdoor learning opportunities in the woodland areas. And then this center area where the existing school is, once demolished, creates all sorts of opportunities. We could augment the existing softball field, create new fields, create a multi-purpose field so that not only can the community use it, but also the kids. They can use it during PE, recess, before school, after school. Just really, it's such a great opportunity. And then finally, the school zone, which is really the nucleus of the site. What we want to do when we look at building a new school, if it is a new school, is to look at transparency, right? Building transparency between the indoors to the outdoors, taking the classrooms from the indoors out. We know that a lot of schools in the past couple of years have had that need. We've all had that need to spread out and go outside. We're going to look at how to create some outdoor spaces for dining as well, extending the cafeteria areas. And then finally, we want to look at how to knit all of the zones, the active, passive recreation with the school zone, just to be able to take advantage of every part of that site for the school. So we put together a little movie.
Stand by.
Yep, stand by. This image actually is so great because it really shows you how beautiful that site is in the fall foliage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, good timing.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Foliage.
perfect, although it's before the portables were constructed.
That's what
So it looks really different, right? Yeah, we were looking at going, what's different with this picture, but I think it really does show the school in its beautiful setting very well. So imagine, if you will, new construction on one side of the school or the other. The old school disappears, and we have this great opportunity to develop the site further, right? Think about softball, baseball. Kids can be running around, playing soccer, kickball. There could be a multi-purpose field just for kids just to run and burn off steam. And then as we look to possibly connecting the woodlands, we can look at creating boardwalks. We've talked with our landscape architect about kind of a walking classroom, just opportunity to put signage and little outlooks in certain portions so that we can have also groups that might be smaller, smaller groups for outdoor learning. And then as we look at the school and the area surrounding the school, there are so many opportunities for outdoor learning. We could have these raised beds, kids could get their hands dirty. You can create spaces for just outdoor play for performing. And then, of course, a wonderful playground for the kids to really burn off all that steam before they head inside. So once inside, we want to bring in as much natural daylight as possible. We want to create that transparency we were talking about between the indoors and the out, have those views out for the kids as well of the beautiful site. And then within between spaces, we want to be able to kind of share in all of that natural daylight. In the academic areas, we want to use whatever tools we can to bring in natural daylight in the corridors, create some spaces for flexible learning. And then in the classroom areas, we'll look at these classroom neighborhoods and again, create some spaces for all different types of learning, for project-based learning, collaboration, as well as for teacher collaboration as well. And once inside the classrooms, we're going to be looking at bringing in that natural daylight, provide views out for the little ones, create some opportunities for project-based learning and differentiated learning, providing storage and sinks throughout. So we hope that this has given you a taste of some of the tools that we use for design. This is not a completed design. It's not a design proposal, but as Donna said, these are tools that we use in the design process to help visualize what some of our initial thoughts are. And these are just some of the really exciting concepts that we want to study further with you. And that's it.
Yeah. So we're excited to get started.
Can we move in?
I know, right?
Quite impressive for your very first meeting.
So I do want to say, we spent a lot of time looking at your site, really seeing the beautiful qualities and amenities that it has to offer. And you're very fortunate to have such an amenity to really embrace with this. And as Vivian said, we will be using these tools. It really was just a design tool, something that you can see to get people excited about the process. And we'll be using this even starting during study. We'll be able to start bringing the buildings and options to life. So you can start seeing and feeling what a two-dimensional piece of paper is. And it's just a great tool. Yeah. But we have been hard at work. We're excited about it too.
Does anyone have questions about Danisco's presentation?
Plenty, but
Okay, so our next.
Paul has his hand raised.
Oh, okay. Hi, Paul.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking this question. I've already spoken to Chairwoman Masato about this and Superintendent Conti, but I would ask that Danisco at least consider one siting of the building that would allow for the town to keep the existing Fox Hill School. I'm not saying that that's what the town wants to do. I do know that many of the departments are bursting at the seams, and I have heard from at least a couple of residents that have asked what the town's going to do with the Fox Hill building when they build the new school. So I'm not sure how deep that sentiment goes within the town, but I do think that, you know, if we were going to go to town meeting for funding and there was an understanding that that building was still going to be standing, and then we tell them it's going to be taken down, I think that, you know, may impact things moving forward. Everything I'm aware of is that the school department has always taken very good care of its property. So I do think that that building has significant useful life left. I'm just not sure. I just want to be able to have the opportunity to discuss it as we move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Bob, do you want to pull up the other presentation or is it already up?
Oh,
Oh,
the
sorry,
agenda.
the agenda one that has like the different bullet points and stuff on
It
think
was
you had
an
it- you had it-
email from,
it. It should be on the link too.
One kind of-
It's sent out.
just one question about this one.
Yeah.
Several of the designs are three-story buildings. How does that factor into, I mean, I know it's probably more efficient, but in terms of educationally, how does 3 stories get fleshed out into being the right answer as opposed to 2, which I think we're more accustomed to in Burlington?
Or one, right? Or one, yeah, yeah.
Can't afford one anymore, but.
Right, right. And I think, so more and more, we're seeing
Presentation.
schools going to a 3-story solution. One is for footprint and space and area that is required or not required. Looking at if, just as an example, if you wanted to keep the existing school there, either permanently or while we're doing construction, you know, 2-story is just a little more sprawling. Working with the district to understand what the priorities are and adjacencies are for students as well. And when you get to 640 students, it almost becomes less of a conversation because of the space required for 640 students,
But
but.
a 3D solution, not a 2D solution.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's understanding what really is important, right? And how it fits on the site, how it, you know, a 2-story or 3-story impacts the site. But we, you know, it's funny, you're seeing a lot of 3-story buildings, but options do start, especially if they're younger grades, at 1-story or 2-story. And then they just see why a 3-story solution typically, I shouldn't say always, makes sense. We find that time on learning to go vertical takes less time than to go down a really long corridor, things like that. But it's something that we will absolutely explore on an understanding both from educational and then from a siting perspective.
Mhm.
But you're not the first person to ever say that, yeah.
So our next agenda topic was our financial update, and Mike Cox is going to walk through the slide with you guys.
Thanks, Christina. So these were in the meeting material that everybody was shared by Aiden. I believe it was yesterday. So the first one, as Danisco mentioned, they're ready to get going. We have their contract for their basic services. We've obviously gone through the negotiation process with them. Feel that this is a very fair price in the market. So we have their base contract for them to go through feasibility and schematic design for $675,000. That is well within our budget. So we'll just be looking for a vote on that or any questions, comments.
Do you want to go
One at a
through?
time.
Do you want to go through all of them and then we can do a vote at the end, Mike?
Yeah, we're happy to go through all of them. So the second one is LGCI. So as the committee may recall, we did a not to exceed, we approved a not to exceed proposal from them last meeting. Since that meeting and Danisco now coming on board, we asked them to take a look at the plan and just kind of mark up potential other boring locations. So what this is in front of you is a revised proposal that captures a few more boring locations that the Danisco team has helped us propose and suggest. So this would be in replacement of that $15,000 not to exceed. And this is a hard proposal. And again, like I said, the main takeaways for this are, we're going to be adding, 3 more exploration locations. There's going to be drilling, 2 days of work rather than 1. There's drilling for 6 to 8 borings, where previously we only had, actually we didn't have any drilling. And we are also going to maintain 6 test pits, are kind of the highlights. But again, this is a revision and would replace the not to exceed. The third item on our list here is an amendment for the Door and Whittier contract. So as we discussed, this revolves around the website. So this is an add-on that we need to have on our website in order to have language translations for the 10 most popular languages that Burlington sees. We did discuss this with the Executive Working Committee. This would be for 1 year of that add-on subscription. And that would get us from now, likely to the next phase where we can potentially build it into the budget when we get to the next funding stage. So this would be for 1 year. And then the very last one is just a budget revision. So part of the MSBA's process is we need to align the budget categories with our contracts. So when we go to submit all the costs in ProPay for reimbursement, each line has the adequate funding. So what that is just realigning that to what we forecasted for the 4 specific lines that we've looked at. And happy to share that that's actually will be broken down on the next slide. But that's kind of a paper process that we need to go through here.
We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, perfect.
So this is, so the original budget here in the first column is the original budget that you all agreed to with the MSBA. Again, the budget revision request does not change the overall project amount. 1.5 million is the number. The updated budget is what that document will update the budget to. And again, this needs to be done in order for the MSBA's ProPay system to align with us. Those values would be something you've seen before in our forecasted costs for each individual bucket. Again, that's for us to expend against and you all to get reimbursement back from. And this is just, beyond those 2 columns, this is a overview of where we are to date. Committed, if approved on the Door and Whittier Amendment number 1, we would have 400,000 committed against the first line item. Danisco's contract would be committed against A&E feasibility. We have, tentatively agreed to those 2 early consultants. That falls under environmental and site. The reason that balance is 288,000 in the updated budget is forecasting for all the other subconsultants we're going to need to bring on board here for traffic studies and so on and so forth. And then the remainder is in other, which would be 119,000, and that will ultimately cover, potential CM costs upfront or other costs we may incur through business, business manager costs, items like that. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm not sure what stage to ask this question, but on the previous slide, the first thing was about the contract with Danisco. And I'm just, I haven't had a chance to speak to the people who negotiated the contract, so it's a little awkward with you
That's
folks
okay.
here.
That's okay.
But I'd like to know if one of the people, whether it's Nicole or Eric or Paul, who negotiated the contract, if they feel like this is, the appropriate. I just wanted to hear from one of those people. Huh?
Yeah,
You
so,
folks did it, okay.
yeah, so the negotiation on an MSBA project
Okay.
is a little bit different, where you don't really have too much wiggle room in terms of the
Mhm.
terms of the contract,
Okay.
meaning what's included in the base services. It's a
Okay.
very boilerplate standard
Okay.
form of contract with the MSBA. So we're forced into using that form.
Okay.
And it's really just negotiating the fee for the basic services. So
Okay.
we had projected somewhere in the 650 to 675 range, so we're
Okay.
happy with where we landed and talking with Danisco through the end of last week and where we are today. And I think what that does is it puts the project in a really good position going forward to have enough headroom to bring on the early consultants to supplement Danisco services and have a little extra headroom for anything unforeseen or to have some contingency left over. So
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on that? Can we vote for all four, or do I need 4 votes?
Do all 4.
I can do all 4, all right,
Sure.
beautiful. Carl,
You want me to make a motion or are
if
we?
you don't mind.
Sure,
are
I
you ready?
move that we approve. How do you phrase it?
These 4 items.
Or invoices and
Invoices and
commitments.
commitments.
I move that we approve the invoices and commitments as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? I can't see the hands anymore, so Bob, you got on me.
Yeah, no one has a hand raised.
Okay. All right, and we still have the same folks online. All right, you have Mrs. Monaco,
Aye.
Ms. Simon,
Aye.
Mr. Foss,
Aye.
Dr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. Kasha,
Aye.
Mrs. Sagarino,
Yes.
Mr. Denizio,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenblatt,
Yes.
Mr. Valano,
Yes.
Ms. Priest,
Aye.
Mr. Cunin,
Yes.
and I'm an aye. So what do we say? It's 12? 12-0-0? It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Early consultants. Just kind of what Mike was providing an update to you. We just wanted to let you guys know where we stood with working with LGCI as well as UEC. UEC was on site last week on the 30th and February 2nd. We just received today their revised report with the information which we shared with Danisco. And so ultimately, we can share with the full committee once we've reviewed it and have any, changes or comments or questions that we need to review with UBC. But that's something that we'd like to share with the full committee once we have that information ready to be provided to you. And then as far as LGCI, they're going to be on site during February break. Again, per Mike's comments earlier about the revised proposal, again, it was nice that Danisco came on when they did so that they could take a look at it right away for us and ensure that we were provided the right information as far as locations and just overall getting the right assessment for the site. So that was really helpful. And so as soon as LGCI is finished with their work, I'm sure they'll also be providing us with their reported information as quickly as they can. Mike, you want to get in, you want to talk about the educational program?
Yeah, so as we had kind of briefly touched base on, there's nothing to show, Bob. But we talked about Dr. Conti has been working diligently on a draft educational program. So now that Danisco's on board, and you heard, obviously, I'm talking about divisional programming, Dr. Conti, we just asked that you just share everything that you have to date with Danisco so that we can continue the process forward. Because that obviously will be a key factor at this stage.
Okay, that's easy enough done.
Perfect.
Can I just ask who was that point of contact?
Yeah, who is the point of contact?
I guess
So-
me.
Okay.
Donna.
Sorry, Donna. For those not here.
It'll be done, and we can get you, if you don't have it, I'll send you an email with Donna's contact as well as the rest of her team, Vivian and Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next, we can move on to the next one for the working groups update. So just wanted to share again the list of working groups that we discussed here. If you go to the next slide, This is just want to confirm everyone sees that they are in the working group they have. What I have changed slightly since last time we saw this is just who is a voting member and who isn't. You know, the star represents a voting member. So there are two groups, the exterior and interior, that will have to be public meetings, which is not a problem, but want everyone to have one final look. We are working on a schedule to share with everyone just on what we foresee the needs for each working group to be on meeting basis, and we can start to gather available times for those groups to meet. Because obviously some of them will be, you know, throughout the entire process, some of them will be a little, you know, upfront. So just again, wanted everyone to take one final look, make sure you are in the groups you requested to be in, and if not, you speak now if possible.
Yeah, okay. Right, Ms. Simon.
Just before we move on, as you almost all heard before, I'm very concerned about looking at the sustainability issues from the beginning, and I would like to know if there was a way for us to, you know, there's only 4 people on the sustainability working group. Can we get that one started with a schedule of when we'll meet? And I assume there'd be somebody from the design, from Danisco on that, and can we take that offline and make that arrangement in addition to whatever you're doing for arranging for all of the working groups?
So I knew you were gonna bring that up.
Yeah, okay, good.
And later on in the agenda topics, we want to have that discussion as far as scheduling some site tours.
Good.
Because I know that's something
Yeah.
that's very important for that group and
Yeah.
something that I'm sure is important for everyone from the committee.
Mhm.
So that's something that we want to get scheduled here in the next you know, few weeks to get those tours scheduled and to work with Danisco on some recommendations for locations that we could possibly tour with the whole group and get that scheduled.
So are you suggesting that if we get the tours going, that that would be the first step and we wouldn't need to have a meeting of the working group?
It could be possibly, we have a meeting beforehand, kind of talk about goals for that working group, talk about the overall
Mhm.
goals, which we're gonna talk about next. Also, as far as kind of like overall consensus from the committee. But yeah, we could definitely schedule a meeting beforehand and then schedule then a building tour with the whole committee. Anyone that would like to join, I'm sure would be interested in taking a look at some of those.
And I would hope that
Sites.
anybody on the committee would be, you know, if they're available, go on these kind of tours to see what other districts are doing, what other buildings look like, what are the issues involved. Because I think that sometimes we have ideas of what used to be the issues, and I'm not sure that all the issues are the same anymore as they used to be, especially the financials. So, great. So sometime soon, that will be part of this other process, and we'll be talking about the trips later.
Yeah, I think now that Danisco's on board, it's a great opportunity to pool resources, you know, projects that, you know, we've worked on individually as well as together to identify sustainability goals or key features in like projects in the neighborhoods or around the Commonwealth, but then also single, multi-story. So there might be some key features that along the process that as we start to get into some options development might be really helpful for folks to see and experience.
And even in the last couple of years, you know, the difference of technology has changed greatly, I'm sure as well. So maybe something that we've worked on recently, more, less than, you know, even 4 or 5 years ago from their experience, that might be different.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, next one. Mike, you want to talk about the goals?
Yeah, so again, these are the project goals that we've come up with. You know, want to keep this on everyone's radar as this is going to be the rudder for our design and obviously going forward. We will be working with the communications working group to kind of put together a goal statement that we'd be potentially looking to put on the website. But really this slide is just, you know, to keep this again on everyone, on the forefront of everyone's mind. These are the goals that we've all, or you all have written into us that will be our rudder for this project.
Yeah, I think we made an edit last time and I forgot to email Christina, so I will email Christina.
And the edit was?
Oh, the current and future enrollment needs.
Right, so it would say current and future enrollment.
Yeah.
And my addition to that is that it was also in context of current and future programming needs, as in if the state requires universal pre-K, or if the town of Burlington decides we want to provide universal pre-K, I'd like us to be considering that in our enrollment and programming needs. So I don't know if that needs to go into that same,
I can, it's fine.
if you can include that, I think that's, we've had that conversation a little bit, but
Yeah.
thank you.
I'll make sure we get that updated right away and sent out so everyone has it. Okay, our next agenda topic is the project website update. Mike's also going to go over this as well with you guys.
Yeah, so since our last meeting, we have gone live. This went up on the district's website, a link to it on the district's website on January 23rd. Now that we have approval on the add-on, we will go ahead and procure that, which will give us the language translation. Again, we are planning to meet with the communications working group for a flyer, a flyer, a memo to send out in total, but this is live and it is on the district's website as well. And these are the 10, so talked about earlier, the 10 languages. These are the 10 most popular languages that will be available for translation.
Good news is it's live. And it's easy for us to update. Like, I'm not kidding you, you can just change things and get it uploaded right away. And so there's so many different opportunities for us to get this website out there in the community and through all the different forums that we talked about. And that's why we're going to meet again with the communications working group to just kind of finalize that kind of how we're rolling it out to everyone the right way. And then again, happy to get feedback from anyone that wants any changes or things for us to add, delete. That's the whole point of the website, is for people to go to it for, project specific information, all facts about the project.
You guys update it with the minutes, right?
Yes.
The approved minutes?
Yes.
Okay, because I think that'll be key once it goes live, that everyone will be able to go back and see. Now there's probably 5 or 6 minutes on there, which would be good.
Yeah, agendas, minutes, all the
Okay.
presentations
Yeah.
that are done, everything.
I guess I just looked that up to see if I could find it, and it was obvious to me. I looked under district and there it was in the menu, but I also know sometimes I'm not sure where to look. Like, I first looked under Fox Hill and that's not where it was. So maybe when the communication goes out, it could be on the BPS website under district, under the district pull down or something. And it may be overkill, but then there's people like me who
I mean,
can't
we'll
always
send out
find
the
it.
link.
What?
Send out
Or
the link.
sending out the link is good, but sometimes people go, well, I don't know where the link is, and I know it's on the website. Can I find it? So I know for some people it's sort of duh and obvious, but for some people it's not so obvious. So if we could include that in the communication suggestion.
We can have a larger discussion of the district website at the regular school committee
Yeah,
meeting.
we can.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. I know. Well, actually, Dr. Conti's working on that.
Okay,
so.
good.
And
I found a welcome notice to the 2021-2022 school year.
Yep. And Dennis is working on it too.
Oh, okay.
And Lauren, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Lauren had her baby.
And yes, I did hear. Everybody healthy?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Okay, and then our next agenda topic is upcoming dates, timeline, and then just kind of big picture, where we are in the process with you. So as you know, you just formed the team as far as having the OPM on board and having the designer come on board. We just kind of wanted to high level outline next steps as far as feasibility stage of the project itself. And so in the feasibility stage, we're going to study the preliminary design program. We're estimating about 4 months to do that process. And during that process, that means we'll be taking a look with DNISCO and with the team on existing conditions assessments, the educational program itself, and conceptual options. And then following the PDP in the feasibility stage is the preferred schematic report. And we're estimating around 6 months for that work to be complete. And ultimately what that will lead to is identifying a preferred option by the district, by the committee itself. building programming, and then also we will be developing cost estimates at that point as well. And then the next slide, just as far as upcoming meetings to let everyone know about and that we've identified, including our executive working group. We're going to be meeting with you tomorrow, as well as on 2/22. We meet bi-weekly. The building tours, Martha, something that we want to have that initial discussion with Danisco on, get their kind of input as far as timing, preliminary meeting prior to that, and then also welcoming all the different people from the community. I'm sure that want to participate in that. But then also there's a lot of work on us coordinating with the different towns and districts on timing and dates and things like that. So we'll definitely start that discussion and come up with some ideas for those tours.
Can I ask for Mariah Hastings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Oh, right.
Mariah Hastings. I mean, I think that was the slam dunk that
Mhm.
you both did together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they identified 3 great projects that on your presentation, the MSBA presentation that you've done in the last, call it 5 to 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
That we could definitely take a look at. But again, per Steve's comment, if we have anything else that we've heard about or worked on, we could talk about that too.
And same, and we don't like to just go to our schools.
Fair
Like we actually like to go to other designer schools, so I'm just, we see things too, right? It's kind of, it's a great learning opportunity for all of us, so.
Let me throw out Acton Boxborough. I know they've done a
Yes,
number
they
of
just
projects
finished
recently. They are doing
recently.
tours.
Yeah.
So it may, I'm
At the
not
Val
requiring
School,
it. I'm
Val
just throwing it
School,
out as
yeah.
a possibility then.
Which one did you and Nicole go to?
I didn't.
No, we went to Harvard. We went to,
Eldred?
Hildreth. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you've already seen Hildreth.
Just myself and Nicole Kasha.
Great. So again, we'll come up with those dates and ideas and
I was invited, so I just.
start that working group discussion.
Fun.
right.
Yeah.
Plus one.
Over the next, call it 14 months, during the PDP phase especially, we'll be working with the school itself, the principal, department heads, key players as far as the educational programming and the visioning as well, and what that kind of outlines as far as the existing, program, and if there's anything with that visioning that needs to change. But ultimately, it's all kind of evolved around that process, and it's something that we'll be working again with Danisco on scheduling some of those initial meetings with those important groups and people that need to be participating in that discussion. And then, as I said, we're trying to still schedule a communications working group meeting to go over the website rollout. Again, it's live, but we just want to talk about the different ways that we can distribute the link itself and or get it out there to the community itself. We've kind of earmarked that we would like to start the communication as far as a community meeting sometime May, June timeframe. Once we have some things developed that we can show to the community as far as the process, but also kind of preliminary design options as well. And then ultimately work with that working group also on that goal statement, like Mike Cox had said before. So we're putting together some dates and times internally that work for us to then send out kind of to that group as far as coming up with the best time and location that works for everyone.
Just one comment in terms of schedule. May 8th is Burlington's town meeting, probably runs Monday, Wednesday, maybe for a couple of weeks. Strategically, you may want to decide to be after that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Perfect.
May 8th.
And then we
Start
have
the
another
May,
one
yeah.
in September, which might be good to have had things that people can know
Yeah.
about.
Did anyone have comments or any questions about overall what we talked about tonight? Anything else anyone wants to talk about?
I had something, some feedback about the website from the staff at Fox Hill. One person just brought up the fact that maybe adding to the existing condition section that the current school does not have air conditioning. I thought that was important.
Sure. Yeah. Do you need me to email that to you?
I'm
Okay,
sure.
you guys on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the
Yeah,
portable.
but that's lab.
That's not, yeah.
It's not the whole school.
Nope.
You can't count the portables.
Any public members tonight? No.
There's a dog
There's a dog?
Oh, Eric's
or a
dog.
cat.
Eric's dog.
Oh, I didn't know Eric had a dog.
There.
Bob's trying to make it bigger, yeah. He turned his camera off.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
It is.
Does he want to make a public comment?
Look at him.
All right, 2 weeks from tonight is school vacation, correct? I will not be here. Oh, the next meeting is not. Okay. Oh, we're only monthly here?
Yeah.
Monthly for
sorry.
now, I mean, that's kind of how we just identified
fine.
it, but if we needed to do a bi-weekly meeting, of course, we could schedule one around school committee and then whatever else.
So I'm very fine with monthly.
What is the
When you, who's gonna be setting up schedules
Oh, yeah.
for the working groups?
Christina.
It
You are-
would be through Dawn Leader.
So you're familiar with the school committee schedule then?
Yes.
Yes.
please.
Yeah.
I think hybrid is through the end of March.
Okay.
Is, yeah,
Sounds right. I just don't remember the date.
but, so nobody can go online after
If,
that?
if you're sick or out of town, I think is the way it was from previous to
Yeah,
the
there's a-
pandemic.
All right, we'll have to look that up.
But that's for public meetings. I think working groups, less than a quorum.
Yeah, but this one, like starting April 4th, we couldn't have it hybrid anymore.
Correct.
Okay, but we have
Is it case we can make?
4.
Yeah.
There's only 4 of us here, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a quorum in person, but that's it. Some people can still be remote. Because I used to.
No, I don't think they can
No.
vote if they're remote. Maybe you will observe, but you can't participate.
Why don't we take a, I want
Yeah.
to review that
Find
just
that
to make
out.
sure that I.
I
I'm up
have
to date
let
on-
me see if I can pull it up. Send it to Melissa.
Okay.
Yeah, we looked at it last summer and then it got extended and I
Right.
feel like I just pretended it didn't exist. Because
Or that
hybrid,
wasn't-
hybrid is life right now, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and but it was, you could make a policy, like our committee could make a policy, right? That we allowed hybrid? No?
No, I think under
Oh.
the
State law.
policy that's on place by the select board was from 2019 was something along the lines that if the committee member was going to be ill or
Out of town.
traveling,
Yeah.
that they would have to get permission from the chair. The chair has to be in person and then you have to have quorum in person.
Okay. All right, well, we'll figure that
But it only applies to committee members.
Committee members, yes, not.
out. All right, well, so we said one more meeting, March 7th, we're safe, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, that's it.
That's it.
We have a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Is there any other, that one? Okay. Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's not debatable. I don't think.
No. Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
Help me. Nice meeting everyone.
It's been yelled.
Yeah,
You too.
likewise.
Thank you.
Off we
I
go.
don't know why. it's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I gonna ask? Oh, you made me
So the
think of
state
it when
hasn't
you were
talked
talking
about
about the lighting. Did you hear about that school that they can't turn?
Yes,
the lights on?
yeah.
I haven't heard it.
That goes back to designing something a little more sophisticated. It was actually proprietary.
Okay, yeah.
So the
that-
lighting,
It's supposed to be managed
Wampanoag,
outside, right?
was it
Okay.
Wampanoag? Wampanoag High School?
Oh, okay.
It was proprietary lighting system. And they couldn't get the parts. They couldn't get the parts, but they've been on for a year and a half because the guy, because it was very sophisticated, they didn't know how to turn on or off or something.
That's crazy.
All goes back to
Yeah.